Good morning, everyone. In this session, we'll deep dive into integration runtime and triggers. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about integration runtimes and triggers. We can see what are those and how many types are those. We'll cover all those things. Okay, by the end of this session, you all get to know what is integration runtime and its types. We also cover triggers and its types, and we will also cover one scenario: how to copy multiple files to a sink. Yesterday we have seen how to copy one single file from blob storage to ADLS2. In case if we have multiple files, how can we copy all those multiple files to the sink? Sink is nothing but destination. How can you copy all those multiple files to a destination? Okay, we are going to cover all those things. Okay, this is one of the real-time scenario. Maybe you may come across this kind of scenarios. They will ask you, they will give a task like how you will copy multiple files from one place to another place. Copy all these multiple files from source to a destination. So this kind of task you may get. Okay. Now, before we discuss about the scenario, let's discuss some intro questions that we have discussed. Can anyone answer what is Azure Data Factory? Why we use Azure Data Factory? Anyone? What is Azure Data Factory?
Hi, Sneha. Good morning.
Mhm.
Yeah, Azure Data Factory it is a cloud service data integration tool. It is used to load the data from the source to target with the help of the ETL, and it is stored into the data lake or data warehouse.
Okay. What are the Azure Data Factory components we have? Anyone else? What are the Azure
Azure
Data
Data
Factory?
Factory components like pipeline activity, dataset services, triggers.
Okay. Other than Azure, anyone else? What is the difference between blob storage and headless chain 2? Prem, I can't hear you if you're talking. Anyone? What is the difference between blob storage and headless chain 2?
Cloud storage it is also storage access. Cloud storage is nothing but it is like a source or input, and
Mm.
here same to it is the output. It is also storage account.
Yeah, you cannot say it is input or output. Based on the requirement, it might be different.
Okay.
What are the general differences between blob storage and headless chain 2? We have covered this yesterday.
Actually, blob storage is used for general purpose, and the ADLS is used for the big data analytics.
Mhm.
And blob storage is the license size limit, but ADLS compared to blob storage, ADLS has no size limit for files and folders over access. And blob storage, we cannot make directories inside it, but ADLS we can create multiple directories inside the ADLS.
Yeah, that is correct. Okay. So in this way, we'll be covering at least 2 to 3 interview questions each and every day. So instead of preparing all these interview questions at the end of the course, what I recommend is each and every day, please practice, like please prepare all these questions. If you have time, you can also make it a note, or else at the end of the session, like at the end of the course, I will also give you interview questions. Okay. So, but be prepared with all these interview questions. Okay. So coming back to the today's topic, as we told, we are going to discuss about integration runtime and trigger. Along with that, I'm also going to cover one scenario that is called how to copy multiple tables from source to sink. Okay. Yesterday we have seen how to copy single file, but today the task is like how to copy multiple files. Okay. Now the scenario, the services, whatever I have used yesterday, the same service I'm going to use today also. I will use blob storage as a source. Maybe the folder structure is like this. We'll be having a folder which contains some of the files into it, but we have more than one file. Okay, so that is available in the cloud. I want to copy all these multiple files at a time to the destination. So I'm using LHMD as a destination output. Blob storage is source, LHMD is output. It should not be this always. It should not be same always. In upcoming sessions, maybe I will use LHN2 as a source, blob storage as a sink. Just to understand, you should have strong basic knowledge on all these basic concepts. I'm using cloud to cloud only. I'm copying data from cloud to cloud only. Going forward, I will also copy data from SQL database to blob storage or SQL database to LHN2, from blob storage to SQL database. We will cover all different scenarios. Okay, so don't assume like always blob storage is a source or LHN2 is a output. Okay, just to understand the basics, we are covering in this way. Okay, so I'm copying data from cloud to cloud only, but for different storage accounts. So here is source, we are using a blob storage. Gen2 is like a sink. Okay, this is the folder structure. Maybe I will be having some multiple files here. I want to copy all these multiple files at a time to the output folder. That is the scenario. Now, so to achieve this scenario, how many linker services are required? Two linker services. Okay. One linker service is to create a connection with the blob storage. One linker service is to create a connection with the LHN2. In the same way, we also require two data sets to access the data, to store the data. Okay. See here, one linker service is for blob storage to create a connection with blob storage. One linker service is to create a connection with LHN2. And one data set to access the data inside the storage account. Here also one data set is required. If you want to place the data in output folder, I need to access the output folder. Okay. All this can be done. The data copy will be done by using a copy activity. We are building a pipeline. Okay. So inside the pipeline, everything can be done. So this is what the scenario I am going to cover today. This is one of our real-time scenario. Sometimes you may come across this kind of scenario in your task. Okay. Now, so to deep dive into integration runtime, basically integration runtime is the compute infrastructure used by Azure Data Factory to provide various data integration capabilities across different network environment. So based on which network environment you are creating a connection, based on that, your type of integration runtime will be changed. Okay. At the time of creating a linker service, yesterday we saw we are using a auto resolve integration runtime. Auto resolve integration runtime or Azure integration runtime, both are same. Okay, so this is one of a type. The first type is called Azure IR or auto resolve integration runtime. So this is used when you're copying data from cloud to cloud. Basically, if you're copying data from cloud services to cloud, at that time only you will use a auto resolve integration runtime or Azure IR. Okay, blob storage is a cloud service. Agent is also a cloud service. Also, we have Azure SQL database. This is a SQL database that is also Azure service. That is also a cloud service. Okay, we have Cosmos DB also available. That is also Azure service. Like that, within the cloud, there are a lot of services. We are copying data from cloud to cloud. then you will use a auto user integration runtime only. Okay. And then we have another type here, self-hosted here. Self-hosted here is used to copy data from on-premise sources to cloud or cloud to on-premise sources. Now, what do I mean by on-premise? On-premise in the sense private networks. Suppose client is maintaining one restaurant. Every day, some of the transactions is happening. However, where this all this data is storing. Today, let us say 200 transactions happened in his restaurant, where he is storing all this data. 200 transactions. In these transactions, maybe user name or user mobile number, how much, what is the bill he has made, what is the date, everything. All these details might be stored where this data is everything going. Maybe that data, everything is going into his local desktop in the form of a files, or maybe he is having some database locally available that can be accessible only to some only particular users who is maintaining the restaurant. So that data is not into a cloud. So wherever he is maintaining the data, maybe something has happened, somehow he has lost a laptop, he may lose all the files, right? So if you want to bring all those data into the cloud, we need to create a self-hosted here, because we are accessing data. We need to get the data. We need to access the private network. We need to bring the data from that source to a cloud. In that scenario, we require self-hosted here. So that is what we call it as a on-premises. If you are bringing data from private networks to cloud or cloud to private networks, in that scenario, we'll use a self-hosted here. And then we have something else called Azure SSIS here. So if you are executing SSIS packages, you will use a integration runtime Azure SSIS here. You will use. Okay. Now, what is this SSIS? Might be some people already know what is SSIS. This is SQL Server Integration Services. This is one of a kind of a tool people use for migration purpose. Let me show you how it looks like. Okay. It's also one of the Microsoft tool only. This is how it looks like. Okay. So if you're migrating data based on this tool, then you need to create a Azure SSIS here. Okay. So these are the different integration runtimes we have. Based on the source we have, we need to select this kind of integration runtime in our linked service. Okay. Any doubts on this? Are you clear what kind of integration runtimes we have? What are those? Is this clear to everyone? Any doubts? Okay, so if it is clear, let's move to the next slide. So next slide we are having about triggers. Triggers are used to run the pipeline without any manual execution. Okay, so by setting a triggers, we can run the pipelines automatically. Yesterday we used a debug option to run the pipeline, so that I clicked on manually. So in case if you have a requirement, you want to run the pipeline every day at 1 a.m. at midnight. So you are not supposed to wake up at that time. You are not supposed to run a pipeline at that time. If you set a trigger by setting a time at 11 every day 1 a.m., it will run automatically based on that time. Okay. So in such a way, there is no manual execution required. If you get a trigger, it will run automatically. But in that also we have three types of triggers. We have schedule trigger, event-based trigger, and tumbling trigger. Okay. Schedule trigger, basically it executes the pipeline on a wall clock schedule. Okay. So what does it means is, for example, if you want to run a pipeline every 1 hour, or if you want to run a pipeline every day at 9 a.m. Same like alarm. How we will put alarm every day at 7 a.m. You will put alarm. So if you put one day, every day 7 a.m., it will automatically ring the alarm. In the same way, if you want to run a trigger at every day 9 a.m., that is a one scenario. So for example, you don't want to run on a daily basis. You want to run on a weekly basis. Okay. So you want to run the pipeline every Monday at 9 a.m. only. Okay. Not all the days, only Monday at 9 a.m. Want to run. That also can be done here. One more thing, if you want to run the pipeline every 1 month, not on the daily basis, not on the weekly basis, you want to run on a monthly basis. That is also possible. Okay. So basically to run this pipeline every 1 hour or every 1 day or every 1 week or every 1 month. So it works like alarm. So instead of scenarios, you can use a schedule trigger. And then we have the next thing, that is event-based trigger. Event-based trigger that responds to blob related events. Now this is, it won't care about the time. We don't give timing and all here. Here what happens is we'll be having a container right folders. So in that folders, initially there will not be any files. So whenever a client places any of the files into that folder, the trigger will get to know and it will automatically run. So whenever client places of files in that folder, it will automatically run that. It will automatically run the pipeline. It will copy all those files to the destination. Okay. So basically, whenever a file arrives, or if someone is deleting a files from those kind of containers, the trigger will run. Okay. So based on that, it will observe if there is any activities going on that container, on that folder, based on that trigger will run. And then we have one more thing like tumbling the trigger. So it executes a pipeline on a periodic interval and retains the pipeline state. Okay. So basically this trigger will run on a periodic interval. Schedule trigger will run at a particular time, whatever the time you are giving. But tumbling trigger, it will run based on a particular period. For example, if you want to run the pipeline from 9 to 10. So there is a time between 9 to 10, between 10 to 11, 11 to 12. So in between these change, what are all the files you have, all these files will be copied. So that is the difference between schedule trigger and tumbling trigger. Okay. Now we have one question in the chat box. Event raise and event wait rate. Yes, correct. So when the event is raised, so based on that event, it will run and will copy the files. Okay. So these are the three types of triggers we have. So based on our requirement, we can create a kind of a trigger. Mostly in the real time, 70 to 80% of scenarios will use a schedule trigger only. Okay. Is it clear? Any doubts on these triggers? We'll also cover scenarios. We'll also see how to create triggers and all. Okay. Till now, any doubts? Is it clear to everyone? Okay, so that's all the slides I am having. So we'll quickly jump into the lab session. Okay. So we'll cover the scenario. Right. This is what we are talking about. We'll cover this scenario. Okay. So for this scenario, I required blob storage, I required ALS Gen 2, I required Azure Data Factory. These are the three services I required. I'll quickly create all these three services. Okay. To start with Azure Data Factory. So I'm having a quick shortcut here itself. So I'm going to click this option. I will create a Azure Data Factory first. Okay. Resource group name, I'm creating a new resource group, resource 2911. So I'm going to use this resource group for all the services that I'm creating now. Other data factory name, I will name as a AD of 2911. Okay, this name is available. I'm not going to change any of the things. Next, git configure later. So all this networking and all, I will keep with the standard options itself. I'm going to click on review plus create it. Okay, so this way we'll create a Azure Data Factory. Now, the next thing what I will do is I'm going to create a blob storage. Okay, today I'm taking a blob storage as source. I'm going to create that. Okay, let's go to home page. In the meantime, create a storage account, blob storage. So just simply click on storage accounts, then click on create. Resource group name, I have created a resource 2911 just now. So I'm going to use the same resource group and I will name the storage account as a blob 2911. Okay. So for blob storage, no need to change any other things. Just giving the storage account name and having all the standard options available as it is. Can't review plus create it. Okay. Submitting deployment. So you can see the deployment is in progress. In the meantime, I will get one more storage account, that is ALS Gen 2. ALS Gen 2, I'm using it for sync. These also I will use the same resource group, resource 2911, so that all our services will be at a single place. Okay. I will name this ADLS 2911. This is available. Now, what is the extra step we need to do for creating a ALS Gen 2 storage account? What we need to do? We need to enable hierarchical namespace. If you're not enabling hierarchical namespace and you're creating it, it will create as a blob storage. If you enable hierarchical namespace and if you create it, ALS Gen 2 will be created. So that is the difference you need to understand. Okay. So the steps, everything will be same for creating a storage account. Okay. This is also deployment in progress to track whether all the services are available at one place, so that all the services are created or not. We can go to resource groups and we can check. Okay. So resource group name we have given as a resource 2911. You can also search from here. Okay. Like this also you can filter out. See, this is what I have created. Other data factory got created. Blob storage got created. Gateless Gen 2 series also got created. See, you refresh now, should come here. Okay, no issues. Maybe it will take some time. Okay, you see here, it got reflected now. Other data factory is created. Gateless Gen 2 is created. Blob storage is also created. As I told, we are going to use blob storage as our source today. I will start set up this storage account first. So let's open blob storage. Okay, I will go to containers. Today I will name this as a okay, let it put as input only, no issues. I'm having a folder as an input. Inside that I'm going to upload some multiple files. In the real time, you won't upload any of the files. Your work is to migrate data from client location to a storage account. Just for our practice purpose to see how to copy data from one place to another place, we have created storage account on our own. We are also uploading files to see how the data copies. Okay, so you should not get confused on that. Now our blob container is the input, which contains some multiple files. Also, you can see different file formats, CSV and JSON also. So that is what I'm having in my source input file. In source input folder, I'm having all those files. I want to copy all these multiple files at a time to the destination. That is the scenario where I want to copy is I want to copy it to the LHN2. I'm using a different storage account for copying all this. So LHN2 the containers, and I will name it as a sync. So to this sync folder, I want to copy all the files that are available in the input folder. All the files I want to copy it to the sync folder. That is the requirement. Okay. So the input, the source setup, the output, LHN2, sync setup, everything is done. So to achieve this scenario, we need to use Azure Data Factory. We need to build a pipeline. Okay. So let's launch a studio, Azure Data Factory Studio. So till now, whatever we have done is everything is for practice purpose setup we have done. Whatever we are going to do now, that is what we're going to do in a real time. Okay. So you'll be working with the Azure Data Factory environment. Okay. Manage tab, monitor, other tab, all these things. Okay. So we'll quickly start creating from a Linker service. So if you want to access the data, if you want to access the input folder, or if you want to access the output folder from AirList Chain to blob storage, very first thing is you need to create a connection. Okay, so that is what Linker service is. So click on new. I'm going to create a Linker service for blob storage first. That is what is source. So I'm going to create it first for blob storage. So we'll select the source first, and then we'll give the Linker service name. So Linker service name, I will give it as a Linker service for blob. So the naming convention should be in a proper way. If you are creating a Linker service, it should start with ls. ls means Linker service underscore, and here I need to give what kind of source it is. If it is a SQL database, we will give SQL DB. If it is a blob storage, we will give blob. If it is LHN, we will give a ADLS. Something in such a way, it should be very clear so that anyone can see your Linker service. By seeing the name itself, they should get to know, okay, this is the Linker service having this as a source. Okay. So in the real time, we will give naming conventions like this. Okay. Even you should give in this way only. Now coming to the integration and time. This is what we are talking about. So based on the requirement from where you are copying to where, based on that, you need to select your integration runtime. Let us say I'm copying data from on-premise sources from the client location. I'm copying the data. On that scenarios, there is option called new. Right now we can see auto resolve integration runtime. That is a by default we have. If you want to create a new integration runtime, so other than auto resolve integration runtime, if you want to use SSIS IR or self-hosted IR, we need to create one. So click on create. See, there is an option called Azure IR. Also, you can create Azure IR, self-hosted IR. Okay, this is something called self-hosted only, but in a different way. Okay, so I click this one, click on continue. See, in such a way, this will be created. So I don't want to create it now. As I'm copying data from cloud to cloud only, I will use a auto resolve integration runtime. So other integration runtime, you need to click on now. I need to create that one, and I need to use it. Okay. So that also will be planned in the upcoming sessions. Right now, we'll focus on how to copy data from cloud to cloud only. You should make sure you should have some strong knowledge on basic topics. Okay. And then as I told, account key, this is the map, this is the details for creating a secure link service. Okay. So if you create by using these options, with the help of access keys, we are going to use these options. Okay, we will cover all those things in the upcoming sessions. You will see now as a subscription, as a free tail, and storage account. What is it? Blob 2911. This is what I have created. Okay, and then test connection. So test connection is successful, then only we can able to access it. Okay, then create it. Okay, our link service for blobs is created. I'm also going to create a link service for ADLS Gen 2 to access the output. Okay, so this is so sync. I will name this as a link service for ADLS. You can give anything ADLS, ADLS Gen 2, Gen 2, anything. Link service for ADLS. Integration runtime will be a auto result integration runtime only. The other options I'm going with the by default options only. And other subscription is free tail storage account name. We can simply type here also storage account name. You see here which one is our sync storage account name. Blob 2911 or ALS 2911.
ADS 2911, sir.
ALS 2911. Blob 2911 is for source. There is a blob storage we have already created. This we are creating for ALS Gen 2, and we have already ALS Gen 2 storage account created. That is ALS 2911. Okay, let's test the connection. Connection is successful, created. Okay, you can also see this is related to blob storage, this is related to ALS Gen 2. Now our source and sync Lingo service are created. We can go ahead and build a pipeline. So before building a pipeline, I want to create a data set also from here. If you're comfortable, you can directly create a data set from the copy activity itself. But in initial days, we'll start getting data set from here itself. So I'm getting a data set from here itself to access the data. Okay. So I'm clicking on new data set. So the very first thing we are getting for source, so there is a blob storage. I'm selecting a blob. Okay. And now, right now, I'm having different file formats. I'm having a CSV file formats. I'm also having a JSON file formats. In the type of scenarios, you can select any of the file format. There is no issues. Basically, if we have multiple file formats, in that file formats, if we have a CSV file, you can select a CSV only. Why? Because CSV file requires headers, but other file formats doesn't require headers. You can see if I'm selecting JSON here, it is not asking a header. So in that scenarios, when you try to copy CSV file, you may lose a headers. So that is the reason if you have multiple file formats available in your source, aligned with the CSV files, just select a CSV file format. Okay. So you can select a multiple file formats, you can select one. So that's not an issue. Okay. So I'm selecting here CSV file format, clicking on continue. I will name this as a dataset for source. Link service for blob is already created. You can also create a link service from here itself directly. See, there's a plus option. If you click on this now, you can also create link service directly. Okay, from copy activity itself. Sorry. So from copy activity itself, we can try to create a data set. While creating a data set, it also for us for a link service that also you can create on the fly. Okay, everything can be done. Everything can be created from copy activity itself. So to make sure you should understand the basics, we are creating it separately for now. Okay. So link service we have already created. So I'm selecting that one. So immediately I select a link service. It is asking us a path to pick the files. Now, if you click on browse input, if you click on input, see there are a lot of files. By using a data set, we can select a multiple files. Even if you give control select, I can't able to select multiple files. See, I'm trying to select by using a control select, but I can able to select only one file. So let us say if I click on this one, if I select this one, only one file is coming here, only this file will be copied. But I don't want to do that. I want to copy all the files to the destination. That is the difference you need to observe. If you have one file, you can easily copy to the destination. But if we have multiple files, how can you copy? You cannot select multiple files here. Okay. So for that reason, what I will do is I won't select any of the file. I will simply select a root folder that is input only. I will select. You can see I'm selecting only input. I'm not selecting any of the file name. Okay. So we will see as the next step how can we bring the multiple files. Right now we will create a data set in such a way. Okay, so you have access to select only one file here. There is no access to bring the multiple files here. But there is a way to copy the multiple files. You will see that. Okay. I'm also giving first a header, click on OK. So in this way, I have created a source data set, but we have not selected the multiple file set, multiple files option. We can see from the copy activity. Before that, I will also create a one more data set for my sink. Let's get new data set. My sink is airless channel 2. I need to also create a data set for airless channel 2. Okay. Let it be CSV file format. I will name it as a data set for sink. Okay. Storage account for link airless channel 2 is already created. Sorry, link service is already created for airless channel 2. I'm selecting that link service. Immediately after selecting a link service, it is asking a path where you want to place. So we have already created a sync folder here, right? To the sync folder, I want to copy the data. So that is the reason I selected that sync folder. Click on OK. See, sync folder. To the sync folder, all the files will be copied. First the header, click on OK. That's it. Okay. So we have created source data set. We have also created sync data set. Now we can start building a pipeline. Okay. So pipeline name also need to give proper naming convention. So for pipeline name, we'll start with the PL. Okay. PL underscore multiple files copy. This is for the scenario I'm going to look into it today. Okay. Now to copy all the files, multiple files at a time, you can use a copy activity alone. For now, we can use a copy activity alone. Okay. In the upcoming classes, we will cover all the activities one by one. For now, for today, we'll use only copy activity. Okay. So in the copy activity source, I need to give the source dataset that I have created. But what I told, if you want to get a dataset from here itself, you can also get a dataset. Okay. And as we have already created, I'm selecting that itself. Now you can see there are a lot of options available under the source. Okay. Source dataset we have created, but we have not selected in the file. So there is such option, one for option called file path in dataset. Whatever the file you are having here in your path, that file only copies to the destination. That is what this option means. But this time the requirement is different. Okay. So when I try to run this thing, it will give us a error. Okay. So we will see what kind of error it is. Before that, I will also select the sync data set. To this sync, we need to place the data. Okay. So if I click on validate it, see it is throwing error. I'm not running it. If I use this debug option, it will run. Before debugging it, I am checking, I'm validating here itself. If I run it anyway, I will get an error. See, it is not able to run it. It is asking data set DS source. This is a source data set. Location is a folder. Wildcard file name is required. So it is saying in the data set for source, we have selected only folder. We have not selected any wildcard file name. So we have not selected any file name. So without a file name, it doesn't know which file to copy. Okay. But if you already selected any of the file here, that file will be copied when you click on debug. So that is the option. By default, you have file path in dataset. So we have some other options also. You see here wildcard file path. If I click on this option, so the path came here, input slash, this is subfolder names. We don't have any subfolders right now. So we will ignore that option. Then star. So there is star option. So what does it means? So all the files want to copy in the input folder, you can simply give star. Star in the sense all files. Okay. So in this way, we can achieve multiple table copy approach. So there is an option called wildcard file path and input. If you give star, all the files in the input folder will be copied to the destination. That is what star means. Star means all files. Okay. Now if I click on validate it, see, there is no error found. If I click on debug, the pipeline will run and will copy data to a destination. Okay, by having this option, wildcard file per star, how it works, we'll see now. So simply we selected in dataset, we selected a input folder. We have not selected any file. And in the copy activity, we have selected wildcard file path as a star so that all the files will be picked and copied. Okay, you can see now the data has copied from blob storage to ALS chain to, you can see files read 6. So it read 6 files from the source and copied 6 files to the destination. How many seconds? What is the duration? It is like 6 seconds. So all these details you can see. You can also see these details from this tab, this one. Okay, data reads. This is the data size, files read, files written, copy duration in seconds. So everything can be seen. There is no errors because this pipeline has succeeded. If there is any errors will come here. Okay. So in such a way, we can see all the output details from here. We have also monitor tab. From monitor tab also, we can monitor. Okay. So this is a trigger. So if we get a trigger, if we run it, those all the pipelines will come. Right now we have used a debug option. So by using a debug option, what all the pipelines we run, all this data will be available here. Now see, pipeline underscore multiple files copy pipeline. That is the pipeline name that has run at 8:15 and ended at 8:15. It ended at 42 seconds, ended at 53 seconds. So duration is this time. How it was run? It was run by a manual trigger. Someone has run it manually. That is what it is showing. Okay. So in this way, you can also track your pipeline details from the monitor tab. Okay. So in this way, we have copied all our multiple files to the destination by using a wildcard file path as a stop. Okay. So now let's go to the sink and we'll see whether we have copied successfully all the files or not. So I'm opening a sink. See here. So total 6 files we have in the source. The input we have 6 files. All the 6 files has copied to the sink. Okay. That is a one scenario. So we'll cover one other scenario. So I'm deleting all these files from the sync folder. I will run the one more scenario. We'll see how many files will get to the output folder at that time. Okay. No. If I give star, all the files is coming. what if I copy only JSON file formats? So I'll simply use star.json, right? So basically ending with, so whatever you give after star, so it will treat as a ending with. So if you give dot, not dot, if you give simply star on, so what are the files ending with on? So only these two files are ending with on. If you give CSV, so all the files ending with CSV will be copied. Basically, this option will be used as a file name ends with. Okay, so we'll see this scenario. I'm giving star.json. We'll see how it works. Click on debug, and the pipeline will start run. Okay, the status is queued. Okay, it got succeeded. Let's quickly go to the sync. We'll refresh it. How many files we have copied? We'll see. See, only two files has came because I have given start.json. So ending with the JSON files only we got. Okay, let's remove these files. So again, we'll cover one other scenario also. Okay, so this got deleted. Right now I don't have anything in my sync. Let's go to the copy activity. This time I will give star.csv. Okay, let's run it now. How many files will copy now from source? My given star.csv. How many files will copy?
4.
4 files it should copy because only 4 files are ending with .csv. So I think it is already successful. Okay, it is successful. Let's go to sync and refresh it now. See, at 8:20, 4 files has copied. All the 4 files are ending with the CSV. So in such a way, you can use this option. So in the data set, we can select only the root folder name. You won't select any of the file. And then by using a wildcard file path star, we can copy all the files. Any kind of file formats, all the file formats, you can copy to the destination. Okay. Also, we can use ends with, like if the file is ending with .csv, file is ending with .json, you can simply use star.csv, star.json in such a way you can control it. That is the one way. So this works like ends with, but my requirement is different. I don't want to check based on the file name ending with. I want to check file name starting with. So you can see there are two files, that is a file name starting with the file 1, file 2. So I want to copy only these two files only. My requirement is like that. So if you want to copy only these two files, what can we do? Any guess? What can we do? Any kind of guess we can do? If I want to copy only these two files.
We have to select the option as prefix.
Correct. Okay, prefix in the sense starts with. Okay, so prefix is like suppose if you're calling someone like Mr. Like that. Okay, so the front, the one which is having coming at the front, that will be a prefix. That is what we are using here. By using a prefix, if you give a prefix starts with, it will act as a starts with. Okay, so based on the starts with, it will pick the files. Now I want to pick only the file, these two files. If I give starts with file, okay, all the file names which are starting with the file as a name, we want to copy only those files. So in that type of scenario, it will work. Okay. So first what I will do is I will give it as a file. So we'll see how it works. It is queued and it got succeeded. Okay, you can see it got succeeded. Let's go to sync. Oh, I forgot to delete the previous output. It has overwritten. So I will delete this and run new so that you'll get a more clarity. Okay, right now there is nothing in the sync. I'm running it once again. So basically, if you're trying to copy the same file that is already available in the sync, it will overwrite it. That is what we have seen. Now it got succeeded. So if you go to sync and refresh now, see at 8:24 am, these two files has came. So basically, these two files only starting with the name file. That is the reason it came. Now, if I give test, so if I give test something like this, I want to copy all the files that are starting with the test. How many files will come now?
Only one file.
Only one file, correct? So I'm deleting the output from the sync and I will run it again. Okay, I can test. Okay, this has successful. Let's refresh it. See, only one file is starting with the test. That is the reason only one file is copied. So in such a way, you can give starting with any with. Okay, irrespective of the file format, whatever you give starts with, based on that, it will pick the files. Okay, we have covered some different scenarios. So wildcat file path, star if you give, all the files will come. Wildcat file path, if you give star CSV, only files ending with CSV will come. If you give star.json, only files ending with the JSON will come. If you use a prefix, only file name starting with kind of a name, whatever we're giving here, only that will be copied. Okay, so these are the different scenarios. So till here, anyone has any doubts? Is it clear to everyone? Anyone has any doubts? Is it clear? Dinesh, Jagadish.
Yes, sir, we are clear, sir.
Okay. Now, is there any other possibilities we may have? The requirement might be different. Any other requirement you may have? Now, my requirement is I want to copy any one of this file to and any one of CSV file format and any one of JSON file format I want to copy. These two files only I want to copy. In that type of requirement, what can we do? What can we do in that type of requirement? You have a requirement irrespective of a file format, irrespective of a file names. For example, if you want to copy only these two files, then how can you achieve by using any of this option? Okay, so that is not possible by using those options. That is the reason we have list of files. So do you have any doubts? Someone, Prem? Prem, do you have any questions? Okay. So that is the reason we have list of files. By using this option, you can make a list of all the files you want to copy. Okay. For example, if you want to copy only these two files, just mention only these two file names in one notebook, copy it. For example, if you want to copy 4 files, okay, maybe these 4 files, just uh, note all these file names in one notebook, copy all these files to destination. Okay, so that is the reason we have a list of files, irrespective of the requirement. If requirement is somewhat in a different way, so pick all the file names, put in one file notepad or somewhere, copy to the destination. That is what it is showing. See, point to a text file. The file format can be anything. So you can put all your files in that file. So that list each file name that you want to copy. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll have a separate file. I think I'm already having. Let me use this file itself. Okay. What is the file format? Say CSV only. You can use any of the file format. You can use a CSV, a text format, any kind of file format. In that, we can place all your files. So what I am doing is I am placing from the source. I'm copying file to JSON sample treated.csv. So I am picking only these 3 files. If you want to any other file also, you can put in this one sheet. Okay. So we are making a list of all the file names that you want to copy destination. So that I'm uploading all these files here. Okay. And the file name, I'm naming it as a configuration file. Okay. You can give file name on your own. It can be anything on your own. So to this configuration file, I'm placing all my file names. I will take this as a reference and copy all the files that is available in this file. Okay. Now the question is, so it is saying point to a text file. How can we point to a text file? Now I want to copy data based on the list we are given here. How can I point from here? How can I point to this CSV file, configuration file that we have already file names available? So we can point by using a browse option. But if I use a browse option, it is directly going to the input. So basically it will search for a input in the source only, because this is the source data set. We can see this is a source data set. So that point, whatever you are pointing to, that should be available in our source input folder. That is the reason I am going back to the source input folder. I am going to upload that reference file what we are pointing to, that I need to upload here, that need to be available here. So I'm opening that. I'm uploading here. Okay, this file only. So if you want to point to a kind of a text file or any other file format which contains all your file names, you can also open and see. Okay, so all the files, if you want to copy, you make a list and have here, because you want to point to that file, then only you can copy all the file names that you are listing in this file. Okay, so we are listing all these files. Simply we're listing a file names, file2.csv, JSON file, sample.json, t20.csv. Now I'm having a reference file here which contains a list of file names. So I'm going to point to that file now by using a browse option. See, here it is. I'm selecting this. So all the file names available in this reference file, only those file names will be copied to the destination. So right now I don't have anything in the sync, and I'm going to click on debug. So once the last pipeline is successfully run, all the file names that are available in that reference file, only those file names will be copied to the destination. Only those files will be copied to the destination. See, it got succeeded. See, 3 files has read and 3 files has copied. We will go to the sync, we'll refresh and see. See, file 2 JSON sample 220. That is the only files we have mentioned. All those files get copied to destination. Okay. So in such a way, if your requirement is irrespective to the file name, irrespective to a file format, you can simply have one configuration file or reference file. In that file, mention all the file names you want to copy and point to that file in such a way. Okay, so that all the files that are mentioned in that configuration file or reference file will be copied to destination. Okay, is it clear? So we have covered all the options. So if you are copying only a single file from the dataset, if you already selected a single file in a dataset, you can use this option, file path in dataset. But if you want to copy all the files from source to destination at a time, you can simply use wildcard file path star. So if you use a .csv extension or in the CSV file formats, all the files ending with the CSV will be copied to destination. If you use .json, all the files ending with the .json will be copied to destination. If you use a prefix starting with this, basically check for starting with. Okay, all the files starting with it will check. But if you use a list of files, irrespective of your requirement, whatever it is, just have note down all the file names if you want to copy in some reference file or a configuration file. You bring that configuration file or reference file so that all the file names available in this file will be copied to the destination. Okay, so these are the different scenarios we have. We covered all this. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Anyone has any doubts?
Can we do the unstructured data also? Copy.
Yes, can be anything. Unstructured data also available in the files only, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Can do that also. Okay.
Yes.
So based on your source option may change. This is for blob storage source options. Okay. For SQL database, the options might be different. For ATLS Gen 2, the options might be different. Okay, you need to observe based on your source. The options will be different. Okay. So did anyone got a chance to create a Azure Retail account? If not yet created, please create it and practice it. So if you're not able to practice it, so you can't understand like some of the concepts. So daily whatever we are discussing, go through the recorded video, practice it. Okay. Also note down and remember the interview questions we are discussing on a daily basis. So if you are doing all these things constantly throughout the course, immediately within the 15 days of the course, you will get a job. If you're not doing it constantly, if you're practicing it once in a week, even though if you're not getting a chance to practice, at least go through a recorded video once, try to understand what is going on here and remember the interview questions. So how many interview questions we have covered today? What is integration runtime and its types? What is triggers and its types? These are the very important two questions. Without integration runtime types or trigger types, there will not be any interview. Definitely one of the questions they will ask you in the interview, any one of this question. Okay. So in such a way you can practice. Okay. So if no more questions, that's it for today. Soft copy or notes. What notes? I will
like interview questions and explanation of the
interview questions and all I will give on the end of the session. For now, if you want to practice, you need to make a note on your own. At the end of the course, I will give you all the interview questions which cover everything. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. If no more questions, that's it for today. Thanks, everyone.